Imagine being promised a vote to decide the fate of your own home, only to be left waiting for nearly 40 years. The Tacna Arica dispute did not begin in 1926. Its roots went back to a much larger conflict that transformed the map of South America. The nitrate that lay dormant beneath the Atacama's wasteland became the spark for enormous wealth and intense conflict. In 1878, Bolivia's new tax sparked a diplomatic crisis with Chile, quickly leading to a breakdown in relations. Peru was then drawn into the crisis because it had a secret defensive alliance with Bolivia dating from 1873. By 1879, Chile, Peru, and Bolivia were locked in a brutal war along the Pacific coast. One of the war's decisive struggles was fought at sea, where control of the Pacific became critical to the campaigns that followed. With naval dominance, Chile struck deep into Peruvian territory. The war eventually reached Lima, and Peru was forced into negotiations. In 1883, the Treaty of Ancón permanently transferred Tarapacá to Chile. But Tacna and Arica were treated differently. Chile would administer Tacna and Arica for 10 years, after which a plebiscite was supposed to determine their permanent status. But the vote never came. Disagreements over the conditions of the plebiscite continued for decades. A 10-year timetable had become nearly 40 years of diplomatic deadlock. In the 1920s, the United States stepped in. President Calvin Coolidge acted as arbitrator, and General John J. Pershing was sent to organize the long-delayed plebiscite. Pershing and the American Commission attempted to create the conditions for a legitimate vote. But the political conditions surrounding the territory made a genuinely free and fair plebiscite increasingly difficult. By June 1926, the American effort had effectively failed. Then, on August 27, 1926, a new diplomatic chapter began in Washington.
The Peruvian ambassador met with the U.S. Secretary of State. Velarde indicated that Peru was willing to consider an American proposal for a settlement.
American diplomacy began exploring alternatives to the failed plebiscite. Other proposals also considered giving landlocked Bolivia a corridor toward the Pacific, potentially connected to the Arica-La Paz Railway. But the August 27 meeting did not immediately settle the dispute. Negotiations continued. It would take 3 more years before Peru and Chile finally reached a permanent settlement. On June 3, 1929, the Treaty of Lima finally settled the territorial dispute. Tacna returned to Peru, while Arica remained with Chile. After nearly 40 years, the dispute was finally resolved, not through the plebiscite promised in 1883, but through diplomatic compromise. The temporary agreement became a decades-long international crisis. The story of Tacna and Arica shows how a promise made after war can shape international politics for generations. Global Past Today, 100. History, 1 century at a time.